Hi, I'm Nimesh Shah, CEO of Blick Rothenberg. I'm here with private client partner Neil Lancaster on the day of the so-called mini-budget, the first under the Liz Truss regime, the first for Kwasi Kwarteng as Chancellor of the Exchequer. Neil, was it really a mini-budget?
In a word, no, it wasn't a mini-budget. We knew today was going to be a big budgetary event. We didn't quite realise we would get this level of content. There was probably more content here than in the last 3 or 4 budgets combined. And we've seen most, if not all, of Rishi Sunak's key policies around growth and tax policy reversed today.
And it was a whirlwind 25 minutes. He felt like he was there a lot longer than that, given what he had to cover in such a short amount of time. Let's start with individuals. How did they benefit from today's announcements?
Yeah, it certainly was a whirlwind, and individuals were no exception. The big surprise was really the lowering of the basic rate of income tax to 19% against the current rate of 20%. But more importantly, and the big surprise today, was the lowering of the highest rate of income tax for high earners from 45% to 40%, taking us all the way back to over a decade ago, which is where the highest rate of income tax sat. We weren't expecting that today, and that was a big surprise.
And real top earners then have seen a 6.25% reduction. For those earning over £150,000 because of the effect of the national insurance reversal and that 5% cut at the top end. What about savers and pensioners? Anything for them?
Savers and pensioners have also benefited as well. As I say, the top rate of income tax has fallen from 45 to 40%. But for those investors, not only did we reverse the policy that was due to be implemented by Rishi Sunak in April next year of an additional 1.25% for dividends, but we've seen that policy reversed, and the top rate of dividend tax is reduced from 39.35 down to 32.5%, which was also the historic highest rate of income tax.
It's huge for business owners then as well, presumably, for those business owners taking money out of their companies as dividends. But in addition to that, what else was there for businesses that we should look out for?
Yeah, businesses, again, had a long slate of policy agenda. The one we expected was the cancellation of the increase of 19 to 25% for corporation tax. But we also saw some new schemes to incentivise growth. New enterprise zones being created with lower rates of NIC for employees. New capital allowance initiatives for annual investment allowances and other capital allowances. So there really was, the theme of today really was growth, and that was really seen through the corporate piece.
And property didn't get away. Usually in a budget, the government are after property because it's such a cash cow in terms of tax revenue. But there was a giveaway for stamp duty as well.
There was, and we had some commentary on this in the papers earlier this week. This was an interesting one because the housing market has been overcooked for quite some time now, and the government have nevertheless chosen this time, at a time of high inflation, to actually make it easier to buy property. So we've seen some relief for first-time buyers, increasing the relief for first-time buyers, first-time homes, but equally we've seen the exempt limit increased from 125 and double to 250,000, which for those people buying homes in the near future or even the more distant future, that's a big boon.
Yeah, I read some commentary straight after it, Neil, that someone buying a house for £600,000, they're going to see a saving of over £11,000 on that purchase, which is hugely significant, especially when SDLT rates have gone up so dramatically over the last 10 years. At one point, Kwarteng said during his speech he wanted a simpler, a fairer, more dynamic tax system, and then he went and abolished the Office of Tax Simplification. They've had a really tough job, where the tax code in the UK has really ballooned over the last few years. What do you think the future holds for this government?
Well, the Office of Tax Simplification, you and I have discussed this many times, actually hasn't really achieved very much over the last 10 years. So abolishing it and replacing it with something else that we don't know too much about yet is probably a conversation for another day. In terms of what the future holds, clearly this government is going for growth. Almost every single policy was aimed at going for growth and attracting talent to the UK. As I said earlier, what it doesn't do is really target those most vulnerable in society, but we do have another budget where I suspect the government will focus on the social agenda in October and maybe even April as well.
Yeah, and coming back a bit on the growth agenda, there was some good news for investors as well, and those businesses raising investment, with the government or Kwarteng confirming that the EIS and VCT schemes are extended until beyond 2025, and the seed enterprise investment scheme and company share ownership plans. We're going to increase the limits on that, but we didn't get too many details on that. We'll probably get those at that November budget, but what else do you think we'll expect in that November budget? Are we going to get more tax cuts?
Well, probably not tax cuts, but what we probably may see some idea of either in October or maybe next April is maybe the unfreezing of the personal allowances, maybe even the increasing of the thresholds for the basic rates. And something I've been looking for the last few years as a tax burden in this country has increased to record levels is the bettering of business rates for capital gains tax for those entrepreneurs selling businesses, and encouraging risk taking in the economy. And
that would be another reversal of a Sunak measure. When he cut the 10 million entrepreneurs relief limit down to 1 million, we could see Kwarteng reverse that move?
Quite possibly. Many of my clients, and yours as well, were surprised by that move from 10 million of entrepreneurs relief down to 1 million, and it hit some of our clients really hard because there was no warning. We may not go back to 10 million. We may even have a new named relief completely, but I think we are going to see something in the coming years. It would fit very nicely in the suite of policy agenda that we've seen today.
What do you think was the real agenda for Truss and Kwarteng in this budget? Have they got their eye on the next election in 2024?
I think there were probably two principal aims of this budget. One was to consolidate their political base, and secondly was to really try and enhance growth over the medium term. That's clearly been the key policy initiative for them, and a reversal of Sunak's key policies. There was something for everyone in this budget, more so middle-class England and wealth creators and investors, which is clearly going to play well to their political base, but that's clearly their focus.
Well, thanks, Neil, for taking us through what was an amazing budget statement. I can't remember one like that in my time in practice, probably in a generation as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what Truss and Kwarteng have in their next budget statement. I'm not sure there's much more money in the economy to give, really, but we'll wait and see.